Hey everyone, Will Brink here. Today's going to be a quick video. Some of my videos have gotten pretty long these days. And again, I don't think, I always think I'm going to start a topic and, I'll be done in, 10 minutes and an hour later, I'm still talking. So, and if anything I can do, well, it's talk. Anyway, I'm going to try and make this one on the quicker side. I'm going to preface this one on a couple things first, and then we'll get into the actual topic. So, one, I try to be pretty flexible in terms of like how I hold certain groups or certain people accountable and stuff. I have kind of a levels of how I hold people accountable. For example, let's say medical doctors and offering nutrition advice. I tend to I'll give medical doctors slack in terms of offering nutrition advice, which is often not accurate because they're not trained in it. I mean, this is what people don't understand. And I have a whole video on that too, which maybe I'll link below. But, remember, last time I checked, I don't know what the latest numbers are, but last time I checked, of the 129 medical schools that exist, 12 require a single course in nutrition. And that's it. Now, which is fine. Again, I'm not expecting doctors to know everything. They're not nutritionists, and that's a whole other topic. But my point being is I don't tend to get, too hard on them in terms of often offering, not accurate advice. I'll give them the chance. I'll say, hey, this is not accurate. Here's the studies, here's the data kind of thing. Only thing I really ask from say most medical doctors, unless they spend a lot of time, researching the topic on their own, is to just not give nutrition advice and just refer and say, this is not my area of expertise. And, I don't know. This is very, very hard for people. And the more educated people are, honestly, I think the more difficult it often is for them to just say, I don't know. These are really difficult words for people to say, medical doctors, researchers, what I call answer guys like me. Again, people expect you to know everything and have an opinion on everything. And so we, or whatever, are just under a lot of pressure to know things. And I have no problem with a topic saying, I don't know. I haven't researched it. Let me look into it. It's not my area of expertise. So depending on their area of focus, I'll cut them slack. Again, I will cut them slack. However, in those areas where a topic is supposed to be their area of expertise that they have studied and gone to school for or whatever, I am not very flexible. I got to be honest with you. I will cut them very little slack on that. I mean, okay, let's talk endocrinologists. Obviously, an endocrinologist, their entire area of specialty is supposed to be hormones, right? And I'm going to have a whole other talk about this because I want to get into that really down the line. But again, when an endocrinologist doesn't know very much about a certain topic, let's say testosterone or thyroid, and we'll get into it, then you know what? I will cut them no slack, none. They haven't earned any slack. So to that end, RDs, registered dietitians, so forth, when they give out really, really bad advice, really terrible, again, let's say, all right, I'm going to back up a little bit. Okay, your typical trainer, whatever, is just giving out really poor advice. They shouldn't be. They probably shouldn't be talking about it and that type of thing. But again, I will try to give them some slack and say, hey, look, I know what you're trying to say, but that's not supported by XYZ. But again, when it is your area of expertise, where you went to school for, where you are supposed to know what you're talking about, I'm not going to give you any slack. I just can't, honestly. And so I tend to be very hard on certain groups, because again, I think that you're supposed to know what you're talking about. And if you don't, then, then you need to at least, again, back away and again, be willing to say, I don't know. I need to further my research on that or whatever. So so that's that. So this is where this is going to be coming from here. Again, I don't just like randomly go after, everybody and expect them to know things. All I expect is for like kind of two things from them is to say, I don't know, I haven't researched it, or I don't have training in it. Let me refer you, or know what you're talking about. And I don't think that's asking too much. Now, I have, I hate to say this. This is like the most cliche thing I could say, but some of my best friends are nutritionists, and there are some good nutritionists and dietitians out there. But again, I mean, they won't like this, but they're few and far between. And two, some of them kind of asked me nicely to be nicer about this topic, about kind of how I approach talking about RDs, because they are RDs, and I've done my best. I'm doing my best, and I'm going to do my best here. But again, I think sometimes you just, sometimes you gotta call a spade or whatever. Okay, so what am I getting at? I've been in this business and in this area, this field for 30 years now. I'm going to call it a solid 30 years of researching the topic of nutrition and that type of thing. And I'm still, I shouldn't be, but I am still often just blown away by the abject misinformation I see from those people who should know better. That really irritates me. I'm going to be honest. And all right, so that's that. Two, if you watch any of my videos or you read my articles or whatever, I may call groups out. I mean, just flat out call out groups. I have very rarely, if ever, I can't even think. I mean, but very, very rarely do I call out specific people or specific, a specific person, a specific article. I don't tend to like to go down that route. I really don't. But again, I think we need to do that only as again a bit of an example, because again I might go on and on about again doctors, nutritionists, whatever, which I have in prior videos, and I'll link those below. But somebody might say, okay, well, give me an example. And somebody sent me an article, which we're gonna go through this article a little bit as an example of what I'm ranting about here. That said, Will, what do you think of this article? I mean, this is like totally contrary to, why the hell is my camera, which I spent a lot of money on going in and out. Anyway, somebody sent me an article, said, Will, what do you think about this? This is really confusing me. It's totally contrary to some of the things you've talked about over the years. And, can you look at this? And I said, oh, sure. I mean, I don't usually look at things, and I was just floored. I could not believe in 2022 that such an article exists from somebody who should really, really know better. And now we're not talking about an RD here. We are talking about somebody with a PhD, an MPH, and an RD. And that, again, I'm sorry, it's unforgivable to me. And I'm going, okay, so let's, so this is an article about protein, basically talks, literally the article is called The Scary Downside of Protein. And I'm going to just go through it quickly. If I do, I'll put some links again for some supporting info. So let me bring this article in. Let's see, add to stream. Okay, there we go. So this article, again, as you can see, is called the scary downside to protein powder that no one tells you about, according to a dietitian. Okay, so this is via I've never heard SheFinds. I've never heard of it, but hey, whether it sends traffic to them and people want to check it out, maybe they'll appreciate this, maybe they won't. But let's go into this a little bit. Okay, so the author, I'm not going to hold the author to the fire. I mean, again, I'm assuming she wanted to find out, she tapped into somebody she thought was an expert on the topic. I don't know how they found each other and all that, but I'm not going to hold the author herself to the fire. I am going to hold. So the person she tapped in is this dietitian who, like I said, her name is Dana Ellis Hunnis. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Who has literally a PhD, an MPH, who's a master's in public health, and an RD, and an author of a book. Basically, gets some quotes out of her. So let's go down. Okay. Digestive issues, I'm not even gonna, and weight gain. Well, sorry, digestive issues, I'm not even gonna counter that one, whatever. First, real basic stuff. Oh, loading an ad. Thank you. Really don't. This is one of those sites where just tries to beat you to death with ads. Anyway, so first thing, of course, is the classic. Again, the average healthy person doesn't need much protein. You only need 151 grams per day. Yada yada yada. Again, I'm just not going to even go down that route. Obviously, if we're talking about, the minimum amount someone needs, talking about, a couch potato who's not active and all that. Okay, fine. I mean, I'll go with it. I'm not even going to spend a lot of time, waste time on that. But again, active people need quite a bit more protein. Again, data absolutely supports that. I just did a talk yesterday at the Harvard Alumni Club that I'm a member of on sarcopenia. And again, the data is again very clear that older adults do not get sufficient protein and need quite a bit more than the RDA and so forth. Just bad. This is just bad science, but it gets worse. I mean, we're going to get the stuff that really bugs me. So let's see. Okay, so despite where it says, despite what you may have been led to believe, there are several downsides to consuming too much protein. Again, how do you define too much protein? I'm assuming she would define it as anything above the RDA. Again, I don't know what that means. It doesn't really, again, this is not science. It's not good science. And she'd have to define what too much means. And again, okay, we're loading an ad. I'm assuming that means above the RDA. That's about, I don't know how to really define too much protein. But anyway. Okay, so a couple of classics here. So Dr. Hunnis, whatever her name, however you pronounce this, the excess protein calories turn into fat. This is absolutely false. There is zero data to support that. Zero. It's the classic, it's an ancient mantra that is taught again in nutrition programs. Not all of them, but I don't know, but it's old mantra. It is debunked. It is now I'm not talking recently debunked. I don't know. I mean, just got to be, 20, 30 years of data. Excess protein. Now, the oldest mantra that they're taught, and a lot of people are taught, is that any calories ingested in excess will convert to body fat. That is false. Excess protein, if you understand the mechanisms, you understand the pathways, and you look at the data, does not convert to body fat. Or if it does, no one has found the amount it takes to do it. And I will post again below. People can go look. If anything, the interesting thing about excess protein beyond requirements for X, whether that's which is really what should be said, how it should be worded, above your daily requirements for whether it's calories or activity levels or whatever. If anything, it's actually quite the opposite. It is if you look again at the data and the pathways. It is actually really, really difficult for the human body, to convert protein into body fat. It's not impossible, again, but there's not, and to be honest, there's not as much data as I'd like. I mean, as far as absolutely conclusive data to demonstrate that. But what does exist consistently finds that the human body just does not convert excess protein into body fat. Again, I'm not saying it's impossible, because I would assume at some point you could find some amount that would increase body fat. But I will tell you right now, no one's found it. And there has been studies, one by Dr. Antonio, that fed people. I don't remember the dose. I'll post it. It was a huge amount of protein. God, it was, I don't know. I mean, more protein than I don't know how anybody could even eat, frankly. That sounded like a very uncomfortable study to me. Again, it's not a perfect study. As Dr. Antonio would admit, he's a very honest guy that way. It's not a perfect study, but there is other data to support it. But the bottom line is that studies absolutely do not support this. And I do not know how in 2022 that advice exists anymore. And I do not know how somebody could achieve that level of education and not be aware of that. It boggles my mind. And I'm sorry. I'm a little frustrated today about this. You think I'd be used to this by now, but I guess I'm not, apparently, because I just, like I said, you know what? I got to talk about this. So, and again, I challenge her or anybody else watching this. I'm an open-minded person. I'm not going to say that, this is the absolute end all, be all on the topic. The door is closed. The door is still open because I said there is not sufficient data of the type and the quality that we would like to close the door on this topic. But if she or anybody else can supply me data demonstrating in human beings that excessive protein above requirements, and again, you got to define that, whether calorically or just requirements for activity and stuff, increases body fat, by all means, send it. I will apologize. I will do another video because again, my ego is not, the kind of person who is going to say something like this and, basically call somebody out and not be willing to admit when I'm wrong. I will literally, how about this? I will send $100 to anybody that can show me the data again, in vivo human being data, not rat studies or anything like that. Because again, that does not transfer to human beings in this particular case. But $100 is in it for you. I will transfer it to you if you can find me data. There you go. There's your challenge to her or anybody else that can come up with that data. Because I'll tell you one thing again, and I'm going to just be honest with you. I'm not a gambler. The reason I never did very well at cards and stuff, and poker and stuff is I'm not a bluffer. My friends would know when we were playing cards or whatever that if I was holding out, I was like putting money in. They knew I had a good hand because they knew I didn't bluff. I'm not a gambler, and so when I make such a statement or a challenge, and I'm willing to throw $100 away, I already tell you I know the answer. I would not, I'm not a real risk person who takes a lot of risk in investments, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to tell you that right out that you're going to fail, but I don't care. Find it. Do not send me an article by some random person, again, nutritionist or doctor or whatever, like this one that we're talking about right here. It's claiming it. That's not going to do it. Not going to happen. What you do have to send me is, published peer-reviewed data. Where they fed people protein in excess of their requirements, and they gain body fat. Okay, so there you go. Let's go to the next part. God, these ads loading up just irritate the hell out of me. And then another classic that is just blows me away. As Huns explained, I'm just saying she explained because I feel like maybe I'm torturing her last name, and I'm not doing that on purpose to be rude or anything. I just Hunnes. I'm assuming that could be Huns could be pronounced a number of ways. So if Dr. Huns or whatever is watching, or anybody else watching, I'm not doing this to be flippant or anything. So my apologies there. Anyway, too much protein can be harsh on the kidneys. Oh my Lord. My head wants to explode when I see this kind of stuff. So I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to give you the same bet. That could potentially be $200 out of my pocket. If you can show me the data that healthy, active people, that there is any potential damage, any changes in healthy kidney function for again, too much protein, and again, is not defined. What is too much protein? You've got to define too much protein. Again, I'm going to make the assumption that she means above the RDA. There's nothing else we can go on here. But, again, I'd leave that to her, anybody else that wants to define for me what that means. But once defined, if anybody can show me data, again, that too much protein, quote unquote, is potentially damaging, stressful to the kidneys, has, shown any, hepatotoxicity and all that, by all means, send it to me. We're not talking about people with pre-existing kidney disease, which again, even that is not as solid as you might think. You might say, well, of course, you don't want to eat. Even that is a little bit fuzzy as to really whether people with pre-existing kidney disease should, avoid protein. And I'm not a nephrologist. I'm not telling anybody with kidney disease or something to, say, okay, well, Will is saying, go out there and eat all the protein you want. Follow the advice of your doctor on this. I'm not saying otherwise. But again, I will say, and there's lots of data, which I will try to put below this, that does not show this. I cannot believe, again, this isn't new information. I mean, it doesn't exist. And I'm just going to tell you that there is no particular reason that somebody should assume, again, that protein intakes above the RDA, which is, I'm using that as my reference, are in any way, shape, or form quote unquote harsh to the kidneys. Again, that's not science. I don't even know where a term like that. What does that mean? You've got to define what harsh means. Are you talking about, again? Are you talking about creatinine levels going up, which, by the way, is not proof of kidney stress or dysfunction in any way. It's an indicator. It can be an indicator. It's not a, and again, nephrologists that are on the ball would tell you that. Are we talking about GFR? What are we talking about? You have to define that too. But that's potentially $200 out of my pocket right there, or whatever. So I open that to anybody watching this, because, and I've done this in the past. I rarely do this. Again, I've only done that a few times where I just said, I'm tired of hearing this. I am going to put money down, again, to anybody that can counter what I'm saying. And I only think I've done that, in 30 years. Oh, maybe, this might be like the third or fourth time I've done that. One, again, was I just got tired of hearing things about, magnetic bracelets once. I went back and forth with somebody who majorly, said he was a scientist, and I was crazy. And I said, okay. And I didn't say $100. I think I said $1,000. I think it was $1,000 to anybody that could show me, again, data, and legit data, that magnetic bracelets or whatever the hell they were, did anything. And there was some other stuff too. So again, I'm not a real good gambler. If I do something like that, I'm going to win. And I have yet in my 30 years lost, that particular offer. So I'm just putting that out there just to let you know. But by all means, go look. So, and this article obviously specifically targeting protein powder, again, versus protein in general, as far as I can tell. Again, there are several sheets that I think this is the author versus the Dr. Huns, that protein powder, added to your shake could throw off your gut health for a loop. I have no idea what that means. But again, let's go in the other direction. Apparently, this author and Dr. Huns, Hunis, whatever, is unaware that, for example, whey protein has lots of data showing, again, that it improves gut health, that it improves immunity, that it can reduce cancer rates, that it does so through glutathione. And I could explain the mechanism of that all day long. That whey, for example, whey protein specifically, because that's something I've researched a long time, is actually a legit medicinal food. Besides being an extremely beneficial, or a really just an excellent protein source. Again, I do not recommend people make, protein powders, any protein powders, the majority of their protein intake. Again, that's not what you want to do. It's called a protein supplement for a reason, or any supplement. We're talking supplements. The term supplement means supplemental to a good balanced diet. And I'm with that. But there are definitely benefits to a variety of populations out there, which I have written about over and over and over again. So I'm not even going to go into it on my site and, in other places, to the regular ingestion of whey protein. And again, this is just a one-sided article that is, to use a science term, complete garbage. So there you go. That's my rant on this, and very, very rare for me to. Let me get rid of this out of my screen here. All right, let me remove that. Okay, we're back. So that's my rant. I wanted to make this one, not too long, because already, I thought I was going to be 10 minutes at this, and we're already at 25. So that's my thoughts. By all means, leave some thoughts below, your comments. My offer is out there to anybody who sees this, and obviously this. Look, I'm going to have to put a time limit, because this video is going to be up for, who knows how many years or whatever. So I'm going to put a time limit on this of a year. I give anybody an entire year to come up with, a counter to what I'm saying, including the good doctor, anybody else. And if, hey, we can do a show together. She can write me on the back end and show me up and say, hey, well, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. Here's the data. Like I said, by all means, I will do a follow-up video with a full apology to her and anybody else. So there you go. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed the vid. Likes, follow me, all that. I always forget to say that. And you all see you on the brink. So.